Yo, this your motherfucking boy King Known Uncensored on YouTube. And we are back with another one, and we're gonna talk about the things that I didn't know about the Sean Combs The Reckoning documentary. I done watched damn near every documentary about Diddy, about Biggie, about Tupac. But this documentary reviewed a few things that I didn't necessarily know. Because I pretty much knew about 95% of that documentary, everything that I knew. I'm not going to get into the details of the documentary, but I'm going to get into the things that I was like, oh shit, I didn't even know that. Like throughout the whole saga of Diddy. The first thing that I didn't know was bruh, this is so fucking disgusting. I hate to start off with this, but this is the first thing that stood out and came to mind. Pause. Just literally pause. Pause this whole segment. So this nigga Puffy collected this one escort semen for a year. A year's worth of semen from the freak offs with Cassie because Puff liked to rub semen on his nipples. No Diddy to all of that, bro. Like, what the fuck? And then, obviously, we know that Puffy was abusive. But I ain't know that these motherfuckers, first off, I ain't know these motherfuckers was doing freak offs 18 hours straight and 2 days straight. And Puffy and the escort would trade places and shit. And, then I didn't know that Puff beat up Cassie in front of the damn escort. Like, Puffy hit her with is his dick bigger than mine? Pow! Nigga said he drop kicked her like a wrestling move or something. I was like, what the fuck? Hey, yo. Diddy is crazy, bro. Something wrong with that nigga, man. That nigga gotta have a condition or something. That nigga is wild. Something else that I didn't know, Aubrey O'Day got a letter from somebody that walked in on Aubrey O'Day being drugged and raped, allegedly. And that person wrote her a letter and sent her the letter, and she read it out loud. And Aubrey O'Day doesn't have any recollection of that happening because, it's a high possibility that he got drugged. That she got drugged, I'm saying. My bad. Then, Little Rod shit. No homo on Lil Rod. No homo. So, I ain't know that Lil Rod, the producer for his last album, Off the Grid, the Love album, right? He said that he would wake up sore. Sometimes he'd wake up in the bed with girls, and then sometimes he'd wake up with Diddy next to him. Lord have mercy. That man took your booty. That is fucked up. This nigga got sexually assaulted. But however, there's a factor that he said he was taking drugs and was on drugs. So, obviously Lil Rod has to have responsibility for that. And I think that was the reason why a lot of Lil Rod's claims got dismissed, was just the simple fact that he was on drugs. He willingly took drugs. Let's see, what else I didn't know about the documentary? What I didn't know was, I knew that Diddy took Clive Davis's blueprint on how Clive Davis taught him the game about how to do contracts and things of that nature, but this is something that was missing. I didn't know that Andre Harrell, this is according to Kirk Burrows, who was prominently featured in the documentary. He basically said that Andre Harrell used to give motherfuckers an advance for their albums and such. And then, the artist wouldn't see no more money until the next advance. Kirk Burrows said that Puffy took what Andre and Clive Davis did and made it 100% worse, to where, like, once you got the advance, it wasn't no more money. There was no more money. Then, another thing I didn't know, after the kids were trampled at that celebrity basketball game, his mother questioned Puffy about, maybe you chose the wrong career path. And then after that, he slapped his mama. And said, I ain't never gonna quit. I was like, wow. Another thing I didn't know, that Misa Hilton was messing with Erick Sermon. Erick Sermon claimed in a documentary that they were friends, but, they were briefly together before Puffy got on that. And I mean, I already knew that Puffy, all these CEOs, man, just have a tendency for wanting somebody else's girl. We already knew about Al B. Shore and Kim Porter, having a child and such, Quincy and shit, right? But then, he would bet Kirk Burrows, I bet you I could get Kim, whoop-de-whoop, and, whatever happened, happened. And then, I know this was in plain sight. I knew that, Kim and Cassie would be on red carpets with Puffy, but I didn't know that it was just in your face like that. And he was messing with both girls at the same time. Like, I didn't know it was just like that plain. I knew he was messing with them, but parading both on the red carpet together is crazy work. Even after Kim had the twins. That was a wild situation. That was completely nasty work. Another thing that I didn't know was Babs. Like, Babs was on the documentary. She was a member of the band, right? And Babs said when she signed the contract, right? Before she signed the contract, her lawyer looked at the contract and laughed in her face and said, look, you're not getting nothing but fame. You're not getting fame and fortune. And Babs signed the contract anyway and said, fuck that. This is Bad Boy. This could create an opportunity for another opportunity. So that's why she signed her contract. But she knew that she was signing a fucked up record deal. And that's an industry practice, though. Everybody first deal is always fucked up. Everybody who first contract they signed was, a bad record deal. Another thing that I didn't know about Puffy through the documentary was the Craig Mack situation. Like, Craig Mack's ex-wife appeared on the documentary and revealed that obviously Craig Mack wasn't treated fairly, wasn't paid fairly, despite Craig Mack basically starting Puffy's career with, Flavor in Your Ear being Bad Boy's first hit record. The record goes platinum. The record gets nominated for a Grammy. The record wins many Source Awards, and Craig Mack don't have no money. And the craziest shit that his wife said was he went up to Diddy asking him for money because he hadn't been paid for his songs and the things that he contributed. And, Craig Mack, Puffy handed Craig, Puffy pulled out a wad of money that was thick, and all he gave Craig Mack was $100. That was fucked up. That was a wild story as well. That was insane. But other than that, everything else in the documentary I knew about, from the upbringing, to him and Tim growing up together, to, the Biggie and Pac wars and everything that happened with that, to the, Hate Me Now era, the Steve Stout shit, the Shine shooting, then the transition to MTV and making the band and stuff like that. I knew about that stuff outside of the Aubrey O'Day possible rape, sexual assault, and all that. I knew about, obviously, Puffy's business tactics. I knew about Capricorn Clark through the case, and the Cassie and Kid Cudi saga. You know what I'm saying? I knew about that. How he took Ryan Leslie's girl from her. You know what I mean? And it's all CEOs, bro. They just got a thing about wanting yo chick. Puffy never, I noticed Puffy ain't never got his own woman, bro. He always got a woman that belonged to somebody else. He dated the girl that Tupac was with, because that's what he wanted was Tupac's girl. He messed with Misa because she was fucking with Eric Sermon, and Puffy was just an intern at that time. Then he took Kim from Al B. Sure. You know what I'm saying? And then he took Cassie from Ryan Leslie. And, he took J-Lo from that dancing motherfucker. J-Lo cheated on that dancing white guy that she was with Puffy. They talked about that, briefly. They didn't get detailed into that. Then, of course, present day, I already knew about all the shit that he had going on then through the court case. So, my overall thoughts on the documentary, it's an awesome documentary. It was well put together. You would have thought that 50 Cent would have been a little bit more pettier, but I just think that 50's just an executive producer on the project. I don't think he had a lot to do with the project, but attaching his name to the documentary, I know a lot of, I know it's going to be a lot of legal action from Sean Puffy Combs, because, Puffy claims that there is illegal footage in that motherfucker. So, I don't know, guys. What do y'all think, man? I mean, watched all 4 parts. It's pretty good. Check it out, Sean Combs' The Reckoning on Netflix. It's Kingdom Uncensored. And I'm out.